Good morning, everybody. Welcome to our 6th ever episode of the Ace Performance Training Podcast with my special friend and guest, James Krause, owner of Ageless Strength in San Diego, California. How are you doing this morning?
Dylan, got my coffee. I'm good to go.
Nice.
Got some weird cat mug coffee. It's kind of creepy, but
I got my floral cup. We're good. We're hydrating ourselves and we're good to go.
Right now.
So James and I met back in what was it, 2017, 2018? Shoot.
Around 20, yeah, I think 2017.
Yeah, because I was running these OCR boot camps and stuff, and he was working at a facility, right? You're working over at a facility right down the street.
Yeah, we were right down the street from each other, and then I think there was you posted on Facebook hey, does someone want to come work out with me? I'm doing this workout, and I'm like, sure, why not? I'm trying to connect with local trainers and stuff. So we went down, we did a workout and stuff like that, and then you were doing a lot of more corrective exercise kind of stuff, right?
Yes. Still doing it.
I think I went for you because I was always injuring myself and shit. So I'm
yes, that's right. It was back when you were deadlifting and your back would get hurt and stuff.
Yeah.
Yes, and now it's totally different. Right?
I was a newbie to lifting, so I was just again, when you're newbie to lifting, you're always injuring yourself some kind of way because ego gets in the way. And
absolutely.
So, and I was also learning some stuff from you because I never knew what corrective exercise was and stuff like that. I was just more strength training focused and stuff like that, and conditioning focused. So I was like, what is corrective exercise? It's what is this voodoo?
And it's funny because as your business has developed over the years, I see that you also incorporate a lot of those kinds of things into your regimen as well. So that's really
totally. Again, after all the years of learning stuff, I'm learning stuff from you, just in general, picking other trainers' brains and stuff like that, and going to continuing education seminars, learning all that stuff. It's been amazing, but it's you always start somewhere. And then I remember
exactly.
I remember we had a conversation. You're like, hey dude, in 6 weeks, you want to do jiu-jitsu competition? Because I think the pool just opened up in the back of the gym, and I'm what is jiu-jitsu? But sure, why not?
Yeah, so there's this academy in Pasadena. It was this big facility. It's a 10,000 square foot gym called Pasadena Strength and Conditioning, and we had this big rig that was a monkey bar, and we used to use that for our obstacle course racing, clients and boot camps. And what happened was they took it out and opened a jiu-jitsu academy there. And I remember at first I was mega pissed, right? I was like, that's my bread and butter, man. And then I started jiu-jitsu and signed up for my first tournament after the 3rd class. And that's when I told you, I was like, hey man, I just started this thing. And you were crazy enough to do it too. It was awesome.
I'd like to take just random risks like that. I'm just all right, sure. What could go wrong?
Yep. And I remember, and that was a really good time. I remember that tournament, man. We got very lucky, our experience, how we started jiu-jitsu, going to HBJJ for that competition training, and how it was always like a family and a community, and we all went together and rooted each other on. Not a lot of people, some people don't get that. And so I feel that was, and I know you've continued training. I know you took a little bit of time off, but how's that been going? You competed again recently.
Yeah. So I took so after the first competition, which was crazy. The funny thing is when you do your first competition, and I'm sure everyone who knows, you don't remember shit. It was a dream. Oh, did I compete? And then you feel your body the next day, and you're like, oh, I competed yesterday.
Yes.
And that was crazy because it was what, IBJJF. What was it? It wasn't World.
No, I think that was the NABJJF LA Open.
Oh yeah.
That was in 2016.
That one was huge too. It was there was a crap ton of people there. And it was a crazy experience, but it was cool to have all the team there. We were there all day, from the first roll to the last roll. And then we got freaking sushi after.
Oh, we ate so much sushi. Oh man, I feel like that sushi restaurant was like, please don't ever come back. Like
Dude, we smoked that sushi spot.
there was like 12 of us, and I think we
Yeah,
literally ordered everything.
yeah, pretty much. But yeah, it's like you kind of go from that, and then you kind of get like that little like downfall of like once you're done with competition, you're like, oh, I need a little break, like, and then your body's all beat up from like all the training because we were training like almost every day,
Yep. Yep.
sometimes even twice
Two
a day.
days. Yep.
And
2
then I
days.
was doing like obviously like my strength and conditioning too on top of that, so it's like my body was just like, fuck you, like,
Yeah. Yeah. No, seriously. I feel
yeah.
you. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and so I took a time off because I injured my back a little bit on the I think there was one roll. I think we're just being a douche and like we're going way too hard. I forgot who I was rolling with, some other guy. But we were just going way too hard and I fucked up my back. And then I'm just like, I need to take a little bit of time off. And then
Yeah.
as life happens, life always happens, right? But and then I eventually moved. So I moved to Seattle for a little bit. What I didn't really roll over there, but then as of last year, I moved to San Diego, and at this gym I'm working at right now, again, it's like a facility, and literally right next to the facility, like, is a jujitsu spot. And I'm like, oh, this is perfect. Like, I've been
Yes.
wanting to get back into jujitsu again, and I'm working at this gym. I can literally like do my clients and then walk next
Go
door
next door.
and then do my jujitsu. So it was perfect. So it was like the perfect opportunity to get right back in it. And I'm about another year into it. Got my third stripe on my white belt.
Yay. Congratulations.
It's
That's
funny. Like,
awesome.
I saw this funny jujitsu meme. It was like Gollum from like Lord of the Rings, and it's like when white belts get their stripe, and it's like my precious. Like that's how
Yes.
I
Yes.
feel every time I get like a
Yeah. You're just like,
stripe.
it's, well, because it's like it's not an easy accomplishment to keep going to
Yeah.
jujitsu, and
And I know,
working.
I know stripes don't matter, but it's just always fun to get one. Or
I
like,
don't. I think they matter. I mean, it's a showing of your progress.
yeah, yeah. But it's funny though, like there was my third stripe I got, like it was on a day where like I got my ass kicked by everyone. I got submitted by everyone. And they're like, James, you got your third stripe. I'm like, what? I'm like, okay. I got my ass kicked today by everyone in the gym. But okay.
Yeah,
But
that happens sometimes where you're just like, you think you're not doing as well as you are,
yeah.
but the coach sees it.
Yeah, and then you just got your purple belt, right? I saw that.
Yes, yes, yes. I got it on the 18th. So it's been a lot of work, a lot of mat time, a lot of injuries, and I'm super
Yeah.
stoked to keep going.
How did you feel about when you got your purple belt? Was it like, what?
It's like kind of like, because it was like a combination of a lot of feelings, like just like like excited and happy because like it's something I've been working towards, right? And like
Yeah.
had a goal, like I'm gonna get that, and then that now next, and just keep. But I didn't really get to compete at blue belt the way I had planned to. I was planning to do a couple competitions, but so now I'm gonna be competing at purple. And so I'm a little nervous, I'm not gonna lie, because like my friend, for example, like Erin Kean is or Quillen, sorry, she's a purple belt. And if I end up doing like open weight, I've competed against her before,
Yeah.
so I'm like, just like, okay, these people are, purple belts. It's different. You could have been training 4 years, 8 years. I mean,
Yeah. Yeah. You never know.
even with blue, it's like that too. So it's kind of, you're in this like middle ground, and I'm really working on like developing my game right now. Like I
Yeah.
pretty much know it, but I'm like, tweaking it.
Yeah.
And yeah, so that's my biggest thing is the competing. I'm a little
I
like,
think just
okay.
getting back in it for you because you had kids, you had injuries, COVID happened, shut down all of the competition. So
Yeah, and I just had a baby like 18 weeks ago.
yeah.
So yeah, I'm giving my body some time this time because it takes like 6 months after having a baby for the relaxin to be fully out of your bloodstream. So I actually right now I'm nursing 2 messed up elbows because I keep forgetting about that, and then I'm
Yeah.
training regularly, and then my ligaments are just tearing like just so easily. And, as a trainer, it's like, I'm like, I should know better, especially
Yeah.
corrective exercise specialist. So it's like, I'm luckily correcting my own injuries. However, so that's one thing I definitely forget about, that hormone that makes everything like weak,
Yeah.
so. So for your business, like, you're currently, working out of a private fitness studio in San Diego. You have Ageless Strength. That's been your business name for a while now, right?
It's been so I started off as really when the pandemic hit. Like I started off as like, because all the gyms were closing down. Like again, a lot of people were out of work. I was lucky to have work, but for me, I always wanted to have my own business. That was always my goal at the end of the day. And um, I took a little too long to pull the trigger, but at the end of the day, it came out at the right time. That's when COVID hit. So I started doing like a lot of like Zoom training. And it was called Ageless Strength because I was just really focusing on like just trying to be online a little bit more.
Okay.
As far as my coaching business, and obviously, like again, all the gyms were shut down, no one could go anywhere, so it was a perfect opportunity. So
Yes.
I launched it right when COVID hit, and then after a while, I decided to move. So, and I wasn't really digging the online space too much. I kind of missed having that in-person connection. And I always thought like, yeah, I'm gonna have this online, fitness business because like all the other coaches are doing it.
Yep.
And
Yep.
I fell into that trap. And then I soon realized I'm like,
Not that
I don't
great.
feel like I'm really doing anything. I don't feel like I'm making an impact. Like, yeah, I do like a post once a day. I check in with my clients. What else?
Yep.
And I was just sitting there, just like twiddling my fingers. I'm like, this is stupid. I need to go back to like
Yep.
my bread and butter, which was coaching in person and
Yes.
having that in-person connection and helping people like again change their lives that way. So when I moved to San Diego, that was my whole goal, right? I wanted to start my business, so I put it as Ageless Strength and Fitness. The biggest thing, because I've always had a background in training people who are a lot older, so 40 plus.
Yes.
I've never really trained a lot of like younger like athletes or anything. I mean, again, I dabbled in it a little bit, but my bread and butter was training, people 35, 40s, 50s. Even right now, I have a client who's 77 and she's
Yeah.
amazing. But like, again, that was always my focus, was making sure like I want people like, you know, like as they get older to feel stronger, to feel more fit. And a lot of people that I work with now are actually more fit, a lot stronger
Yes.
than they were like in their 20s and their teens. And it's like, I'm seeing like this really big shift in like the fitness industry right now, where it's like a lot of older people. Sorry, I'm just adjusting my
Oh,
camera.
it's okay.
Are like really like taking their health very seriously. And I kind of feel like a lot of the younger people are not taking their health as seriously, and you're going to see a lot more like obesity, health problems with younger people
Yes.
in their 20s, because it's either they're not doing anything at all, or there's too focused on the Finstagram, whatever, like what is out there,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
not like really like taking like what true health is and how to actually properly train and take care of your body for the long term. Like I always tell my clients, like, you guys are my heroes. Like I want to be in my 50s and 60s and 70s. I still want to deadlift. I still want to bench. I
Yeah.
still want to,
Yeah.
do jujitsu, like all that stuff. Like those are my heroes, because like I want to, you know, shit, I want to be 80 or 90 and still I want to be that crazy old guy in the gym.
Old Haleo, like
Back in
just
my day, I used to deadlift this much. Like
Yep.
I want to be that guy.
I
So,
feel you.
and that's why I named my brand that, and that's why I really focus on really helping people who are, as they get, again, like as they age, like helping them like get stronger, feel better, find healthy habits, and pass them on to their kids, because that's what's really gonna make a huge impact, is when they start taking care of their health. Most of them have kids, and then they can pass that along to them, and obviously they pass it along, right?
Yes. Yes.
Mhm.
Absolutely. So, like an example.
Yeah, exactly. Just because, like, for me, like my family, like they were never healthy. Like a lot of my family's overweight. I had a cousin die she was 600 pounds. She died. Like,
That's so
uh,
sad.
yeah. Well, then also the thing is, like, people don't. It's not their fault, right? It's like they don't know that that's what it's ingrained in your family. And like,
Yes.
I know when I was starting my fitness journey, because I used to be big.
Yep.
My nickname when I was a kid was Pork Chop. So
Aw.
let's put that in consideration. Like I still love to eat, but obviously it's more balanced, right?
Yes. Yes.
But like again, on my family, we all come from over consumers. We like to eat a lot. Like that was always our thing. So all of my family was overweight. And then when I decided, you know what, like I don't want to be overweight anymore. I don't want to be unhealthy. I don't want to be like you. Like I don't want diabetes. Like I don't want, And then so I started changing up my eating habits and working out more. And then, I use, as you know, in every family, like always making comments, oh, what diet are you on now? Like, oh, can you eat this? Like, oh,
Yeah.
why aren't you eating, your vegetables? I'm like, I'm just trying to like chill. Like, what the heck? Like,
Yeah.
so it's like, I had a conversation with one of my clients the other day, is like, we have to start breaking that chain of like, whatever your family was, or, what they valued. It's like, it ends with you. If you're trying to make it healthier, like this, you break the chain now and you start your own chain of
Yes.
what's going to be like the new healthy way, what's going to be activity for your kids, yourself. Like that's where it starts from. So
Absolutely.
yeah.
And so for you, being a coach, would you say that having been someone who has been through a weight loss journey, right? Like you've been heavy, you've been fit. I remember you were even struggling with like some thyroid things for a while. And so you've been through like all the different hormonal and
Yeah.
also self-induced and all the different ways, like myself, where so do
Yeah.
you feel like it's that helps you, right? Like connect better to
Yeah.
people going through those
Oh, it's
struggles.
100%. Like most of the trainers know, like we've tried everything on ourselves first. So we've put through ourselves through hell.
Some
So
weird
you don't
stuff
have to.
sometimes.
You don't have to, right? So it's
Yes.
like I did the crazy diets where, yeah, I got abs, I got really lean, but then it was unsustainable. And then I gained like
Yes.
twice the weight back. And then it's like, damn, I was an overweight coach for a little bit. Like, yeah, I was like training people, but I'm like, damn, I'm kind of overweight a little bit,
I did
and
that
then
too.
and then you struggle with that like imposter syndrome of like, I'm trying to help people like with fitness and nutrition, but I'm kind of a chunk too. Like, so then that would play through my head. And then, you find out at the end of the day, it's really about just having balance. And,
Yes.
there's seasons for when you want to kind of cut down a little bit. And then sometimes it's okay to gain a little bit of weight and then cut again if you need to. And
Yes.
again, finding that good, healthy balance of, what I like really focus on more now is how does my body feel? How
Yes.
are my workouts going? How do I feel during jujitsu? Like how's my endurance? I took up Muay Thai as in the past 2 months,
Nice.
so it's been super fun. So like, how strong are my kicks? Like, how's my technique? Like, I really focus a lot more on performance based, because I remember when I first started like jujitsu, like I think I was like 159,
Okay.
158. But dude, I was like, again, I was like in my early 20s, like no responsibilities. I could train like 2, 3 times a day and not really worry about nutrition too much. But again, like I had all the time in the world, right? As obviously we get
Yes.
older, we get more business. Like you have kids. I don't have
Yep.
kids, but again, I imagine if someone who has kids, it makes it even harder, right?
Yes.
And so just like knowing like, hey, like that's not me anymore. I'm not gonna obsess over working out twice a day every single day. I'm gonna still get a good workout in, but it's
Yeah.
like, the biggest thing is like finding that healthy balance of, hey, like I'm around 184 right now, and I'm
Okay.
happy with that because, hey, like maybe I'm 30 pounds heavier than I was when I was like 20 something, but damn, I feel great right now. Like I'm deadlifting in the 400s, I'm squatting like high 300s, like I can go to jujitsu, I can go to Muay Thai, like I'm doing all these things. Like I'm like, I look back, I'm like, I don't want to be that little skinny kid anymore. Like, yeah, he had abs, but I can kick his ass right now. Like,
That's, and that I totally empathize with that because like when I was, remember I like cut down like what
oh yeah,
115.
you were like
Dude,
shredded. Like
dude,
you
I
were
was,
shreds,
and
dude.
I'll be honest, when I was that lean, it sucked
Yeah,
because like anytime I went somewhere, it was like, oh no, I can't eat that, or like like I had my little meal preps with me all the time,
yeah,
and like I also couldn't think straight because being a female, like you need body fat, right? I've learned this over the years,
yeah,
right? Especially females, like have to have body fat in order for your brain to function in the
yeah,
cognitive sense. And so I'd find myself like forgetting things, and I'm like 20, I was like 22,
yeah.
23,
Very
24. I'm like,
young,
why am I
man.
forgetting things? And so now I'm sitting at like 131 right now, and my body fat's probably closer to like, I would say like between 20 to 22 or something like that. And
Yeah,
I'm like way happier. Like I don't want to lose any more weight
yeah,
because
yeah,
I can still think, I can still deadlift, I can work out, I can train against my bigger,
yeah.
teammates, and so it's just like it does make a difference, right? Like in
Well, I think it's like
strength.
that's what people don't talk about, especially like you see like all these like influencers on Instagram, like, oh, like they're super lean, all this stuff, like they're living the best lives. It's like, nah, like I remember how it was to be that lean and have abs, and like when actually my first thought when I got my abs for like the first time ever, I'm like, that's it, eh. Like that's so stupid. Like it was like so like anticlimactic because everyone's like, oh yeah, I want to get abs, I want to be shredded, like,
Yeah,
and then when
yeah.
you get there, it's like, okay, nothing has changed. I
See,
probably
for
felt
me,
like horrible. Like I feel more miserable than I was when I was a little bit chunkier, you know?
And see,
So
for me at the time, I was still in that like vanity mindset as a younger
mm,
person, right?
yeah,
And so I was like, like taking all these pictures and like,
yeah,
oh, I'm shredded. And it's funny because I look back and I'm like, yeah, all that was on social media, but how I felt actually,
yeah.
right?
No
Like
one
was
knew how you
not
actually felt.
no one knew except like my friends, and
Yeah.
stuff, how I actually felt, which was not that great, right? And so it's just one of those things where yeah, like having that balance is so important.
Yeah. And I think it's even harder now when it comes to like jujitsu. Like I notice a lot of people in jujitsu have a little bit of like disordered eating because you have to make weight and you have to do like sometimes you have to go to those extreme. Like I cut 10 pounds like on my last competition. It
Yeah,
fucking sucked, but I did it a little more healthy way. It took me a little bit longer. So
yeah.
I planned it out a little bit longer. But you have some people cut in like the day of, 2 days before, like they're cutting like 10, 20 pounds. And it's like people think like that's a healthy way to cut weight. It's like it's not. Like,
So
yeah, like people starving themselves. Like again, I did like a little bit of a mini water cut, but like some people are like, removing all these things from
they'll
themselves. And
do diet core, like they'll actually take diuretics
yeah,
and
yeah, they did
stuff.
that like all the what is it, the diuretics, right?
Yep, 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 yep.
And then when they go back and after they're done with their competition, they put on a little bit of weight, which is what is healthy for your body. Like they get like, oh shit, like I need to cut back down again. And I got to cut again, and I got to cut again. And maybe if I, not eat carbs, I'll stay at that weight and all this stuff, right? So it's like I've noticed that in like the jujitsu world is
Oh
like
yeah.
there's a lot of like disordered eating, like people like view their body as like, man, like, I used to look like this in competition day and I took a bunch of pictures and they look at those pictures and like that's not me right now, but it's like that's not a healthy weight right there. Like, yeah, like you gotta do what you gotta do to make the scale, especially if that's your like career or you
Yes.
make money off of competing in jujitsu. But like when you're done with it, be okay with putting on a little bit of body fat. Be okay with going back to like a heavier weight because
Yes.
that's your body wants that normalcy. So
And one thing that a lot of people don't really talk about, I mean, I don't know if you've been watching the trials this weekend.
no, I
Um,
haven't been.
oh
No.
man, it's very exciting. Everyone seems to be kind of like doing buggy choke slams, and leg hunting is kind of the theme I'm seeing
Yeah,
right now, Um, and a lot of these people are obviously on performance enhancing drugs, right?
yes,
Like
that's
you and
also
I,
another
as
unspoken
trainers, can
thing.
look at an individual and know without a shadow of a doubt if they're on PEDs or not by the way their deltoids are formed, by
Yeah,
their vascularity. And so a lot of these people don't realize they're looking at these other people that this low body fat and high muscle tone, and they're trying to achieve this goal without PEDs. And
yeah,
PEDs are terrible. Don't do PEDs. But like, it's one of those things where I feel bad for these people because they don't know, all right, and they're like trying to achieve this impossible standard that
yeah,
like these people maintain year round because they're taking
yeah,
PEDs,
yeah,
right? And so that as a trainer, it's definitely hard for me to see because I know the effect of these things on the heart and the liver and the kidneys. And as
yeah.
a health coach, you're kind of like, man, so it's a little scary right now.
Well,
You
it
can
also
see it.
sets like unrealistic expectations for people of like, oh,
Yes.
that person I saw, they train like 3 times a day, so I have to do that. But a
Like
lot of times there's people like that's also their living, so they don't do anything else
yep.
except for train. They don't have kids, they don't have a full-time job. I mean, some of them do, I'm not gonna lie, but a lot of them, especially the younger ones, like, hey, like that's their lives right there. That's their livelihood. So it's like, yeah, they're gonna train 3 times a day. Like they're gonna do what they have to, even if it means taking performance enhancing drugs, which helps them recover faster and train more. So yeah, they're naturally gonna look like that. But
Yeah.
once they're off of it, like see their before and after bodies after drugs versus not drugs, right? it
It's
completely changes.
it's crazy to see people like before they start and then
Mhm.
how their bones, especially like females, like the bone structure
Yeah. I know with
change.
the females more like
They
jawline,
get like
more
really like
pronounced.
like they get kind of wider and
Mhm.
square, and then they
Yeah.
get like their deltoids start to pop up.
Yeah.
There's different
Yeah.
things you notice, and then how it changes after.
Yeah.
And it's just such a trip to see, like I don't know. Everyone has a different opinion, but for me personally, I feel like it wouldn't be worth it for me personally to take
Yeah.
anything
Yeah.
like that, because so many people die so young
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
of the effects on the organs, and it's just so that's why, like for me, that's another reason I'm a little nervous about competing, right? Because I'm like, oh my god, they got these people on steroids. I'm not.
Yeah, but that's like the one thing. Like I know every like competition you start eyeing out like who's my opponent. Like oh this guy looks pretty big, or for you like this woman like that chick looks pretty big. Like I wonder if I can like handle her. Like I know when I did my last competition, so I went up to middleweight. So I made the cutoff was like 179, or no, 180 was the cutoff. So I made it barely. I made it 179.5, but then the guys I went against, God, they were huge. Like I felt small. Like I'm short, like I'm 5'6", but like
Yeah,
I'm like more of like a stocky build, right?
yeah, yeah.
Dudes were huge. I'm like, how the hell did you make middleweight? Like you probably walk around 200 some
Yep,
pounds. Like
yep.
I was like, I only went with one guy that was roughly my build, and then the other two guys were just like monsters. I was just like, Jesus Christ, like what
Yep.
the heck? Like, but
That happens.
but it's like always like having that like you're always eyeing your competition. Like when you're like on the mat, you're like, oh god, like who am I gonna go against? Like, it's always a trip though. But um, I love it though. I always want to. I might be competing in April 30th.
Okay.
So it's just like an in-house competition for charity.
Sweet.
So I might be doing that. I haven't been training. I've been honestly diving more into Muay Thai lately because it's been so fun. Uh,
How are you
still, I
liking
still,
that?
I still like love my jujitsu, but Muay Thai when you freaking kick that bag, it's like oh yeah, it's like
Oh,
it's so much fun.
I
So
know what you mean, because my husband, he has the striking program, and I've
yeah,
obviously started taking that. And it's a combination of Muay Thai, Dutch kickboxing, and
yeah,
also traditional boxing, and a little bit
yeah,
of everything. So I love it.
yeah.
And for you, now that understand corrective exercises, I wanted to ask you, have you started noticing, like, with the striking, I don't know, like for your striking program, but like you're starting to notice there's chains, kind of like jujitsu, right? Like there's transitions and chains and everything kind of
Yeah,
connects
so
together.
like especially with like the footwork too, like knowing how to push off your back foot, or like when you string your combinations together, how it literally just flows and that kick just naturally happens. Like I think I was working with one of my coaches, like it was literally like I think it was like because I'm southpaw, so it's like a lead hook
Yes.
straight, and then off of that straight you throw a kick, and that kick just like thunders, like, and you don't even have to throw it hard. It's literally the momentum of you throwing your upper body strikes
Yep.
leads into that kick, and oh my god, we were drilling that, and dude, like my kicks were like, dude, they were thundering. I was like, this feels amazing. She's like, yeah, it's just all the momentum, like like it's just crazy how like your body works, and like whoever invented Muay Thai, whoever was the first one is a fucking genius.
Yep. Yep. And you'll notice, like, if you understand biomechanics, I feel like you pick it up a little quicker, maybe, because like you
Oh yeah.
understand, like, oh, I need to go into triple extension,
Yeah.
or like, okay, oh, it's an internal rotation, or oh, okay, I just
Yeah.
have to, and you kind of like think of it in a slightly different way, right?
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
feel like the same thing with jujitsu. And so, like, I don't know, for me personally, as like a personal trainer, I feel like it all just flows together really well, right?
Oh
Like
yeah. Oh yeah.
understanding. So for you, how are you finding the balance between running your business, working out for yourself, doing your training,
I don't think there's ever a balance for me. It's very just chaotic. I'm not
yes.
gonna lie. Like, I know for me, like I've kind of cut back on lifting a lot. I used to lift like 5, 6 days a week.
Yeah.
But I kind of got bored of it. Like I've been lifting for so long. Same thing, deadlift, squat, bench, push-ups, like all that stuff, right? Like I've done it for so long. So it's like I'm kind of like diving more into what my body can do. Cause like again, I was getting bored of lifting because I didn't have a reason to lift, right? It's like,
Yes.
okay, cool. Like I lift so I don't gain weight, or like so I can go eat on the weekends, like at my favorite burrito spot, whatever, and just to stay strong, right? But ever since like picking jujitsu back up again, and I'm doing Muay Thai, it's like, okay, now I have a reason to lift. It's not my main focus anymore. I'm doing it about like 2 to 3 times a week. But I've noticed it helps me with my endurance, and now
Yes.
it's giving me a reason to do it because I feel like I'm stronger in jujitsu. So it's like it's given me that balance now. I've found that like, okay, like I'll do jujitsu 1 to 2 times a week. I'll do my Muay Thai 1 to 2 times a week, and then I'll lift like 2 to 3.
Plus running the business.
And plus running my business. I'm in my first year of business. It's going to be next, actually, 7th is going to be our official first year,
Sweet.
actually in-person business. So it's honestly like with running your business, it's hectic. Like it's not
Yes.
going to lie. Like it's hard to predict what's going to happen next because you're not guaranteed a paycheck. So it's like
Yep.
you have to go out there and earn it. You have to make sure you're on every platform. Like I'm on Google Business, and I, all the other ones, like there's a couple, other sites that you can put your business on where people can find you at, like
Yep.
Thumbtack and Bark. And
Yep. Yep.
I haven't dived into Yelp yet, but I know for your business, you were doing Yelp for a little bit.
Oh, I still do the
Um,
Yelp and the
yeah.
Google business
And
and
then now you're doing like, your podcast and obviously social media. As much as we hate it, like it's still a necessary evil in a
necessary
way.
evil. Yes.
Evil, unfortunately. So it's honestly like running your. I don't think I'm at that point yet where I found a balance. I think as you mature in your business and get more like maybe 2, 3 years in, you kind of start finding your rhythm. If so, like, and even then, some people are still like struggling, and especially right now, like with like everything getting more and more expensive. It's like people are really like diving into like, hey, like I got to make sure I rein in my spending. So it even makes it harder for us, like
For luxury,
because
it's
yes,
because it's a luxury business,
exactly, it's a
technically.
luxury business. Like,
Yes.
and us as trainers, like we have to make a living too. So we have to we have to follow the trend. So if like
Yes.
things are getting inflated, we have to raise our prices too,
Exactly.
because
And
we
our
have to make
continuing
money.
education and stuff too, we have to pay
Yeah.
for that.
Yes,
Yeah.
and I just got my nutrition certification, actually like 3 days ago. So I just
Sweet.
finished. I've been doing it for about 4 or 5 months, but I finally
Nice.
like finished my course and got it. But yeah, I pay
Congrats.
99. I'm paying $99 for a year, so
Yeah.
to do it. So just know
Yeah.
like the
Yeah.
reason why like people train, or people like they charge such a high ticket is because, hey, we put in a lot of time, we put in a lot of work. Like I do like free shirts for all my clients, like you have to think about all the back end stuff of like what we offer, and it's like, hey, like we have to make a living too.
Well,
Like
and I don't think they realize what we do when we're not with them. Like,
exactly,
like
yeah,
we're literally like, I mean, I don't know about, I'm assuming same, right? But you sit there and you're thinking about like, oh dang, Shirley needs to lift more, whoever. And
yeah,
you're like,
yeah,
you're writing your programming and you're thinking and you're checking on them. And,
yeah,
there's a lot more to it than
yeah,
just when you run your own business, you're also doing all the back end stuff too. And especially the type of business we run, like it's very personal, right? So it's not
yeah,
just like, if you're a good coach, it's not like they just come in and leave and okay, see you next time. It's like you're gonna check in. Hey, are you feeling? How's the
yeah.
workout? Are you sore? How are you eating? Are you doing this? Are you doing, and just kind of, and that's a lot more hours, I think,
No,
than
yeah,
people
it's especially on the back
realize.
end. Like again, I literally work every day. Like at
Yep.
least Sundays are my chill days, but like I'll do like my scheduling, I'll
So
update
you're still
programs.
working.
So I'm still working, right?
Yeah.
So it's like you have to
Yep.
know, like, hey, like we're always working. That's the thing. And then always think about, okay, what am I gonna promote for this month? What can I expect to, drive in more traffic this next
Yes.
upcoming month? Like especially with like summertime coming, like what can I offer to entice more people to get ready for summertime? Like there's so many things, right? So it's like in a way, it's like again, I don't think ever no one will ever find their balance when it comes to that. But and at the end of the day, it's like we have to find our training too, right?
Oh
It's
yeah.
like
Yeah.
it's so
Yeah.
easy to get caught up in helping everyone else, but then we forget to be like, oh man, like I didn't
What
eat
about
today,
me?
or
Or
I didn't
yeah.
swim today, or damn, I already had 8 cups of coffee. Like it's like so it's like it's again, I don't think we'll ever find that balance. It's more like how we manage our time, and
Yes.
I'm getting better and better. I'm getting. I'm a single dude, so it's like you have like 3 kids, you know, you have a full business, you have your dogs and your chickens and all that stuff. So it's like you have to be even more on top of it because then you have people, you know, to, you know, rely on you.
That's why I did the Zen planner, dude. Like
Yeah.
recently, like I took the dive because I was like, oh man, it's like a lot. Like, but I was getting so like the paperwork and like checking in and like, reminding people to pay,
Yeah.
or, especially now that we have the academy, there's like students too. And that
Mhm.
added in a completely different dynamic than what I've dealt with for the past, 8 years as just regular personal trainer. Now going into 9 years, and we've been doing this for about a year now, and it's totally like a different type of keeping track, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like, and so I'll be honest, I'm about almost 9 years in now,
Yeah.
and I had kind of found the balance in a way, but
Mhm.
now that I threw this, now we're doing the academy, and now I feel like probably going to be at least another, I'm just going to straight up say like 5 to 6 years,
Yeah.
maybe, before we're at a point where we have like staff and we can, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you can
Yeah.
chill and not work as much and stuff like that. But
Yeah.
it's definitely, they always laugh when you say work 80 hours a week to not work 40.
Yeah.
But you're doing what you love, and
Well, I mean, at
therefore
the end of the day, a lot of trainers don't make it because they realize, and especially like the gym I work at, there's a lot of new, like up and come, like new trainers, and they're in their early 20s, and then, you know, they get their certification and think like, oh man, like I'm gonna start training people, I'm gonna train athletes and this and that, and they soon realize like, damn, like it's really hard to.
yes.
And I actually started doing like some mentoring as well. Like, and that's another venture I might get in soon is just doing like some mentoring for coaches who, you know, barely got certified and where to start, how to program, all that stuff. Because
Yes.
unfortunately, the national certifications out there are really just dog crap,
Oh yeah.
and they don't prepare you for what it's like to be an actual trainer. So unless you're working for someone else, like at another gym, you're not gonna it's gonna
It's
be
a
a lot.
rude awakening.
Yeah. So it's like if you're a new trainer, like I always tell people, just ask for help. Like that's the
Yes.
biggest and best thing is ask for help. Put your ego aside, put your Instagram fame aside, whatever it is, like just ask for help because in the long run, like that's gonna help you. Like I'm the old guy at the gym, like me
I
and
know,
like
right?
two
We're
other
old
people.
now.
Yeah, like I know we're not really old, like we're in their 30s, but it's like for a trainer, it's like damn, like that's old because like new
Yep.
trainers now are like 21, 22.
Yep.
And I'm like, oh, back in my day, I used to be like you.
Oh yeah, I know, it's so funny. Like we just brought on this wrestling coach, and she's like, I think like 21. And she's like awesome, but like, like I'm also helping her mentor and stuff,
Yeah,
with like how to build contracts and liability waivers, insurance, all that kind of stuff.
yeah.
And man, it is too, it's nice, it feels nice to kind of pay it forward, right?
Oh yeah, but then also it's like you see how like energetic they are, and they're like, okay, like it kind of pushes you a little bit, right? Because you're like, damn, like I remember I used to kind of have that energy and shit like that. Like, okay, I can still maybe bring a little bit of energy like
Yep.
that.
Yep. Yep.
But you always catch yourself like, dang, like I used to be
Yep.
like that. Like, so it's kind of finding that balance. But no, that's awesome. Like again, I think we're on the same path when it comes to like the mentoring and stuff like that. I really love the mentoring. I love teaching. Like that's the biggest thing. Like because then you see them starting to sprout, and you're like, I'm so proud of them.
You're
Like,
so excited. I
yeah,
know. Yeah, like for me, I get more excited like for my students' progress than my
mhm,
own. You
yeah,
know what I mean?
yeah,
It's strange, but I guess that's, some people have a naturally built-in coach heart.
yeah,
You know
yeah.
what I
Well,
mean?
because you can tell when someone's like they want to do this, they want to learn, they're so green, like they're like so green behind the ears, like it's just like they're just like they're so excited about it, and then it reminds you of like when you started your coaching career. It's like how excited you were and how gung ho and chipper you
Yes.
were, and then you get into it like years later, and then it kind of like darkens your soul a little bit. But then, but then you start coming at it because you see like, hey, like again, like I've seen
Because
the
it
I've seen the
because
ugly
it
side of
isn't what we thought it
it.
would be. That's why. I mean,
Exactly,
like,
yeah.
yeah.
Well, like, I've seen the ugly side of the fitness industry, and it's not fun. And
No.
so it's like knowing like, hey, like I never want, someone to go through that. I went through that. Like I saw the ugly side of the fitness industry, especially working for gyms who undervalue your service, undervalue your credentials, how long your experience, like, and paying you below poverty level wages. Like, that was like when I like saw that, I'm like, damn, I never want someone to go through that again. Like, so if I ever mentor someone, I'm gonna make sure, like, hey, you need to watch out for this, know your
Yes.
value, don't be afraid to charge what you're worth, like all of
Yes.
yeah.
Yes. Like I was even telling like the one like, yeah, you could charge this, but I didn't know I could charge. Yeah, you could charge that much. Like that's yeah, and I realized I think we actually met back in 2014 because this was back when it was doing Spartan race. This was before I started jujitsu, wasn't it?
It was, yeah, it was
That's
before.
right.
It was,
Because
yeah,
because you were coaching at Copper Moose.
yeah, yeah.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you've been a coach for like,
I'm going on 8 years.
yeah,
Yeah, but this is like my first year actually being on my own. I've always worked,
yes.
yeah, I've always worked for other gyms and stuff like that over 7 years. And then I decided, hey, it's my time. This is my time. This is, a first year going into it. Again, like for me, it's like it was more like learning the business side of it. I knew all the
Oh yeah.
training side. That wasn't the issue. It was more like
Yeah.
I need to learn how to be a business person now and learn all that stuff. And that's the hardest part. All the
Oh
trainers
yeah.
want to avoid. Like, we never want to, I don't want to sell. I don't want to do that. But then it's like, hey, you get to a point where like you need to do that. Like,
Yeah.
being okay with asking for a credit card, like, all that stuff. Like,
Oh yeah, yeah.
it's always anxiety ridden, but you have to know at the end of the day, it's like you got to do it.
The financial conversations, right? And oh my God, so funny. I was just talking just yesterday to this girl about like a sales tactic that I was taught
Yeah.
back in the day about like pricing, right? And so I was told that what you do is you name your price and whoever talks next loses. Right.
Yeah.
So like you like say, yeah, that's gonna be 120 an hour, or whatever. And then you just look at them and you just wait. And you just wait, and whoever talks next loses. And it's actually a very accurate business practice I've found. And it's just one of those things about being confident in your price, right? Like, this
Yeah.
is my price, because sometimes you'll read that they're like not happy with what you just said, right? And you could tell they're kind of like, and you're like, oh, well, maybe, and you're suddenly trying to like scramble to justify your pricing.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then we don't realize what that creates to the client, right? The client's like, oh, so you're not sure about your price then?
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? Like, your price is flexible. So that is one thing that I had to learn. And that took like, I'm going to be honest, like still to this day,
Yeah.
sometimes I have a hard time where
I
I'm
literally
like,
have to, like, once I tell them how much the price is, I like, and they say, okay, I like, oh God, like in
I
my
know
head,
that's
I'm just like, oh my God, like I felt myself age like another 3 years, like another gray hair just came out. Like, it's like so much, like it's so much anxiety. It really
and
is.
that's what I will say. I'm going to be honest about running an academy that's nice compared to the personal training. I'll be
Yeah.
honest, like, cause like we charge like 175 a month,
Yeah.
right? And people are like, that's it. That's opposite of what I'm used to hearing,
Yeah.
right? As a trainer. And even up here, I'm only charging 50 an hour, dude. Like, because the I'm running out of our home, and it's,
Yeah.
it's like the level of income up here is different, and I had to adjust. And even then, sometimes people are like, because COVID and everything, and it's just one of those things where I'm just like, yeah, man, it's that's the hardest part, I honestly will say, of being a coach, is the financial part of it.
Yeah.
I'll be honest, like, it's the anxiety of asking for money, of naming your prices, of being solid. And I feel like the people I know who are super confident have been in business for like 10 years.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
my old Johnny T, he's like, yeah, I charge 150 an hour, whatever. Like, go somewhere else if you can't afford it. And I'm just like, oh my God, like, it's just, it's crazy, but so I keep, you're 1 year in. I was always told once you hit your 2-year mark, you'll kind of at least feel like a little less, like you'll kind of have your more flow.
Mhm.
And so like, we're only 1 year into an academy. So I'm kind of in the same place as you right now. It's like, it's still hectic, it's chaotic. And I'm telling myself, okay, 1 more year and it'll be a little more like, okay, I know what I'm doing now. Right? Like, smooth
Yeah,
sailing.
definitely.
So
Yeah. Oh, it's always crazy, man. It's always.
would you say the social media portion is kind of like, because for me personally, that's the thing I have a hard time keeping up on.
Honestly, like, I've cutting back a lot. Like I used to be that person. I gotta post. I gotta post. I gotta post. I so it's spend literally like 2 hours trying to figure out what to post, make the video, edit it,
Yes.
post it, and then it gets like maybe like 10 views, and those 10 views are like clients I already work with, and they're the ones commenting on it. So like after a while, I was just like, yeah, I'm just like I'm still gonna post, but it's not gonna be as frequent just because we have to realize who you serve right now. I'm serving in-person people, so I need to get out in the community. I need to, network with local businesses. I need to, meet people in person, shake hands.
Yep.
Like the Jiu-Jitsu Academy I work at right now, like they've helped me start up my business. They pushed clients my way, so that's how I got
Yes.
started. I'm like, hey, like one of the coaches, like when we're rolling, like, hey, like he was talking to this one kid. He's like 17 at the time, and he's like, "Hey, man, you need to get stronger. Like, he's a strength and conditioning coach. Work with him." And then the kid came up to me after class, like, "Hey, can we train?" And he's been my client for the full year that I've had my business. He was my first client.
Nice. That's
Yeah, he's my
awesome.
first client, and like, so it's like little things like that, like that's gonna make more of an impact. I feel like just like people you're meeting, like even for you, like you
Yes.
connect with local gyms, on your podcast, like
Yes.
things like that, like that's where I feel like that's gonna make the biggest impact is like, and I think with the age of like social media now, it's like we're losing that in-person connection. We're losing that how to actually talk to people in person,
Oh, it's so bad.
and it's like I feel like and then I'm still like, and then I'm still on social media. Like for me, it's like I try to cut back on it as much as possible. I'm not the perfect person in the world. Like I have to like put like time restrictions and stuff because it's like trance. It's like
No, it
um,
is.
I
It's
always call
designed to be.
I always call it the Matrix.
You're just
I'm like,
like,
I gotta get out. I gotta get out of this.
yeah,
Like I'm like, oh God, no, no. I shake my head and I'm like, all right, I gotta get off this thing. Like,
and go
uh,
outside and do
yeah,
something, or
exactly,
yep.
right?
Mhm.
So again, it's always a work in progress because there's some days where you're just scrolling. Oh shit, an hour went by.
Yeah.
Like what the hell? Like I could have been doing so many other things. So it's always about. I feel like I'm trying to revert from that social. Again, like I said, it's a necessary evil, right? It's like
Really
how you use
is.
it is what matters
And
more than anything.
yeah, and that's the biggest thing I would say. And touching on that online coaching you were talking about, I agree. Like I did a couple, and I do have one right now, but she's cool, but it's not the same. Like, especially for me doing mostly corrective exercises, right? Like I am so Nazi about form
Yeah,
that like if your foot is turned out like a millimeter, right? I mean, I'm serious. I'm like, your foot is turned out like this
your
much. And
pinky
there,
toe
and
is 2 degrees to turn
no,
out.
no, I'm serious. When it comes to like if you're doing like a non-functional pattern, if you're just doing
Yeah.
like a regular, I'm very, especially if someone has an imbalance or something,
Mhm.
I can't I can't touch your muscle and know what's activating like when
Yeah.
you're in the strain. Like it's like
Yeah.
I'm a person, I'm very hands-on. Like I ask my clients, I'm like touching them. I'm like, this one, this one, this
Yeah.
one. Yes,
Yeah.
yes, 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 that
Mhm.
one. And then, I'm like making sure. And it's and all these people get so upset because they subscribe to these online trainers, they get this online programming, and then they don't get as much of the results as they would have gotten in person, and they don't understand why,
Well,
right? And
yeah, I think it takes a certain person. If you're very self-motivated and you like working out on your own, you can just go to the gym and hit the gym hard, and that's the target market right there. But for most people, people don't want to go to the gym. People they want to change, but they don't want to do the work. So that's why they hire us to keep them accountable because no one wants
yes,
to get sweaty. No one wants to get sore. Like, I mean, again, there's some people who do and they love that, but majority of people, they don't want to go, but they know it's good for them. And so that's why they hire us to keep them accountable, to write their workouts for them. So all they have to do is just walk into the door and just listen to what we have to say.
and most
And
people, they feel like if they paid for it, they'll use it, right?
exactly, and that's also what we can kind of tie that back into like charging your worth. Like the more you charge, the more people will invest. The more like, oh shoot, I'm paying $100 a session for this. I'm gonna show up on time. I'm gonna do my workout. I'm gonna listen to what this person, because if not, I'm gonna lose out on my investment.
And that's very
So
true.
yeah, and so it's like knowing that like again, one of my mentees, he's officially got his second client, but I'm like, dude, you gotta start charging for them now. Like, and then so he's like, dude, I'm kind of nervous about asking. I'm like, just ask, and you're providing value for them and they appreciate you. So I'm damn sure they're going to pay you. And he asked, and this client said, I was wondering when you wanted me to pay you. Like, I felt so bad. Like,
Yeah, yeah.
like he's like, it turned out to be the easiest conversation. Like, I was just like, see, it's just more about is what the stories we put in our own head of like, oh man, like, I don't know if I should charge. What should I should charge? Like, is it worth it? Like, I know like they're going through some stuff. Like, do they have the money? It's like most people do, and if they really like enjoy your training and they like you as a person, they will pay you.
Oh yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
it's like
Absolutely. And if you like I said are confident in yourself and what you have to offer, I feel like the clients can feel that too, you
oh,
know?
oh yeah,
They're like, "Oh yeah, this person is so nonchalant and so, relaxed and they know and they're confident, so okay." And they'll do
yeah,
it.
yeah.
So as of now, you're focusing on mentoring as well as have you ever considered down the line like doing like workshops and stuff like
I
that? Like,
eventually want to start doing that, just because I feel like trainers now are, like I said, like not really prepared to what it's going to take to start their business, and where to go for like action, because like all the certification stuff, like especially the national certifications, are so outdated. So like helping people build systems of how to, when you bring in a client, how to assess them, how to see how they move, what their capabilities are, like flexibility, endurance, strength, all that stuff. How to actually have a system of how to intake someone, how to
yes.
assess them, and then from that, how to build their program, how to schedule them, all that stuff. I feel like those are like the most important things when it comes to just being a new trainer. Is like, hey, like what's gonna set you aside from all the other trainers, right? So it's
Yes.
like, and I tell a lot of my mentees, like, if you take the time to do an assessment, to sit down and talk with them, get to know them, build like that rapport on a personal level, tell them you're going to make like a customized program to them. That's your selling point right there. You don't even need to sell at that.
Yeah.
If you've taken the time to learn their body and learn who they are as an individual, they're going to give you their money. And it's like, that's like the selling point right there. It's like, you don't have to do any tactics at that point.
Yep.
Like your knowledge is your selling point. Your experience is your selling point,
It's
because
true.
most trainers, they won't take the time to do that. They'll just like, okay,
No.
first day where I'm going to push you through this workout. It's like, okay, but I have this injury and I have this injury. We're just going to do this workout. Right. So it's like, us as like coaches, it's like, hey, like I want to know why you had that injury. Like, do you have mobility restrictions? Like,
Yes.
you tighten certain areas,
Yes.
all that stuff, right? So it's like people appreciate you taking the time. And that's the thing, is like if you're willing to put in the time, people will appreciate them. Like, hey, this guy knows his shit. Like, I'm gonna hire
Yeah.
this
Yeah.
guy. Yeah.
Oh,
So it's like,
absolutely. Absolutely. And that's one thing that for me that always made me sad is so many people have a bad experience with trainers because they didn't get that, right? They didn't get someone take that time and they were given kind of a cookie cutter one size fits all workout
yeah,
and then they get injured or they're not getting the results they want. And I feel like that's if you're looking for a coach is like the number one thing. Like
yeah,
were they able to identify things on you that maybe you didn't even know about or that you didn't tell them and you
yeah.
forgot, oh yeah, I did actually break that one time, or yeah, now that you mentioned that that does, and then they're like, oh my gosh, this person's actually, yeah, like you said, taking the time, right?
Yeah,
And that's so important. And you've been a client, I'm assuming, right? Before being a coach. I've been a client before
mhm.
being a coach. So we also have a different idea of what a client who's nervous to put that foot in the door
Oh yeah. Well, I mean,
is
people
looking
like,
for.
the thing is like people get so much anxiety over like reaching out to someone they've never met before, of like, I'm gonna ask this person to help me get healthier and work out, and I'm gonna pay this complete stranger. So you have to realize how much anxiety they get from just like even reaching out,
Oh
like,
yeah.
just stepping in. Like, so I had one client who told me like she literally came to the gym and 30 minutes before, left, came back again, paced, and then finally got in the door. Like, she had so
Oh.
much anxiety over just even like coming to the gym and like starting
Yeah.
that routine and meeting this new person. And it's, you have to realize like the clients, like they get so much anxiety like over all this stuff. So we have to, be like understanding about that and know like,
Yes.
hey, like you're coming to a safe, welcoming place. And same thing probably for jujitsu as well.
Oh
Like,
yeah.
especially honestly for women too, because it's
Oh
like
my gosh. Yeah.
jujitsu is like such a male, like a male, I wouldn't say male dominant, but mostly male
It is.
sport.
Yeah.
And especially with the place I train right now, like I mean, they have a decent amount of like women there, but still, even like one of my friends, like she's sometimes the only girl in the room, and she has to roll with all the guys. And I'm sure same thing with you, like when you're the only girl, and I know you guys are building like a women's group now. Yeah, so I mean
Uh,
that's awesome. Um,
yeah.
but again, it's like women who come into the like jujitsu and like they just see all these big sweaty dudes hugging
Well,
each other.
even with the women's group, some of them get nervous. I'm gonna be
Yeah,
honest. Like I had this one girl came in, and I could tell. You could generally tell right away. If someone's gonna like it or not. And
yeah, yeah.
you could tell this girl, like, just having someone on her, like, even though it was another female, like someone she didn't know, like,
Mhm.
on her. And
Yeah, yeah,
she was just like, oh my gosh. So, it's not for some people, like, even in that, and so I definitely did my best to make her feel
mhm.
comfortable. But
Yeah,
I think for her in particular, it was just like,
yeah,
not it wasn't gonna, and she's doing something else now, and I'm super stoked. I think she's
yeah,
doing like gymnastics or something.
yeah.
But the fact that she was willing to come in, I always tell people, like, hey man, give yourself a pat on the back for like getting in here,
Oh
right?
hell yeah, yeah,
Like
of
because
course.
like taking that step to like self bettering, like bettering yourself is
Yeah,
like one that most people haven't actually taken the time to even realize they need to take.
yeah,
Right?
yeah. That
Like,
makes sense. And it's also like it also falls like on guys as well. Like, hey, like we need to be more open and inviting with like women training in jujitsu. Like I know like a lot of women don't like to train with other guys because they go aggro and they're like they don't know how to train with women. It's like a
yeah.
real skill is learn how to actually roll with another girl and
Yes.
not power through and bro out.
Yeah, yeah,
Like that's even more challenging because it's like, and that'll even help you be like a better jujitsu like
oh
practitioner.
yeah,
Like,
oh
I,
yeah.
I I would roll with girls all the time, and I'm like, okay, for this roll, I am not going to use any strength. I'm going to use technique. And one of my friends actually she almost choked me out.
Yeah. Well, and like one thing, like for example, I have a student who's like 97 pounds, right?
Yeah,
And she's 15, so ligaments aren't fully
yeah,
bonded,
yeah,
right? So when I roll with this girl, I imagine it would be what one of my 220-pound male teammates would have to do with me,
yeah,
right? Like, and I literally just like let her start on my back or whatever
yeah.
bad position, and I'm just like working on my defenses. If she makes
Mhm.
a mistake, of course I'll show her that with a technique, but
Yeah.
like I'm not gonna sit there and like pick the girl up and just
No, of course not.
I mean,
Yeah,
I could, but why
yeah,
would I do that? And that's one thing that I feel like it's unfortunate. A lot of people in jujitsu, it's like an ego thing, right? Like, well, I don't want to get tapped out by this
yeah,
like chick, like the hell, like people,
yeah.
like, especially if like my wife's watching, or you know what I mean, you never know, right? What's
Yeah.
going, or I'm a police officer or something, or maybe something happened. And so it's everyone has to be in that mindset in the training room of like, hey
Yeah.
man, we're all just like training,
Well,
right?
that's why I
Like,
like jujitsu so much. It's so humbling. Like I remember when I first did my first jujitsu class, like I'm like, okay, I come in with a little ego. I'm like, I lift, I'm pretty strong, and then I get tapped out by like our coach who was like, how heavy is Jason? Like what, like
oh dude,
150 pounds, and he just
I think he
mopped the floor.
triangled you like a bunch of times in a
He's
row.
like,
Your neck
so
was all messed up.
yeah, so. So
I
he
remember.
literally triangled me like literally like 6 times in a row. He's like, "Stop looking down, triangle. Stop looking down." I'm like, "Oh my god!" But it's like that's why I like jujitsu so much because it's like it kills. It's like that ego killer. It's like yeah, like you can be like the strongest dude and the most fit looking dude or chick in the room, but I bet you that tubby little balding brown belt will just mop the floor with you.
Oh yeah,
Like
exactly.
and like I know the gym that I work out, there's a bunch of like brown belts and stuff. Like they can't even do push-ups, they can't even do squats. But when you
Yeah,
get them on the mat,
it's
dude,
over.
they destroy you. So it's like that's why I like jujitsu because it's like it's so humbling and it's so unassuming. Like the person walking down the street, you would never think, that guy's I can beat him up, right? And then they just freaking get you in a clock choke, and then you can't turn your neck
Yeah,
to
yeah,
the
it's
right, like it's like that's why I like it so much, and that's why I gravitated towards it because it's like when you're lifting and stuff, like it's so predictable. You don't have that challenge of you never know what's going to happen. And like,
Yep.
and then like, especially when I know rolling with like a lot of like women too, like learning how to actually control yourself and using your technique, because that's going to get you a lot farther, right? Yeah, you know,
Yes.
you can outpower someone, right? That's something, but try not using it and just using your straight knowledge and technique. Like that's
Yep.
even harder. And like, you know, like I'm not gonna lie, like I almost been choked out by one of my friends. Like she's a blue belt, but she's
Yeah.
obviously better technically than I am. And
Yeah.
she caught me in something, and I literally almost passed out.
Yeah. Because
Like,
you were probably like, I don't want to tap.
yeah, yeah.
Uh,
Like I feel like my beard protects me a little bit, so I can hold on a little bit
it does
longer.
make it harder to sink chokes with the
Yeah,
bearded.
so
You're
like
kind of like, yeah.
like normally someone would tap, I can like spend a little bit more time, but she had me and I turned the wrong way. Well, it was the right way for her to
She's like,
sink me,
haha.
and it went like that, and I'm like, oh shit, and then I just started seeing stars, and I had to sit down. I'm like, dude, you almost choked me out. But it's like I wasn't embarrassed about it. It's like, cool,
Yeah.
she's a blue belt. She's better than me. Like she teaches me shit all the time. Like I'm
Yeah.
okay with it. I'm like, whatever. Like,
Yeah.
and there's some days where I get hurt, like, and then it's just like that, you know? It's like I'm okay if I get freaking choked out by like a girl who's a purple belt or black belt. I'm like, I'm
Yeah.
like, she's
Yeah.
better than me. Cool. I'm no
Yeah.
evil. I'm like,
I remember there was this girl named Valentina. She was like still a teenager at the time when I first rolled with her. And then like by the time she was like 17, she already had purple belt or whatever, because she'd been training since she was a kid. And man, this girl and her whole family trained. It was like her and her brother, all four of them, and they were all little kids. And so I'm not using any strength. And
yeah,
they're just destroying me because
yeah,
I'm not using any strength.
yeah.
And I'm not going to be a douche, you know? And so I'm like,
Question.
I was having a good time. Honestly, I thought it was fantastic. I was like, I am getting destroyed right now. This is great. Like, I was like, these kids are wild. Like,
Yeah.
and for me, it's like, I don't know. I got excited about it. I
Yeah.
know most people would be like, oh, heck no. But
No, I get excited when I get smashed too, because it's like when I'm rolling with like the higher belts, like the blue and purple belts, and yeah, they're destroying me, but it's like you kind of find a comfort in getting your back taken and then actually getting out of it, or
yes,
getting getting caught under side control and actually getting out. Because then when you roll with someone who's your level, like another white belt, it's like, I've been in this position like so many times with someone who knows way more technique. No
yes,
problem. I got out. Like, so it's like
yes,
you find comfort in getting smashed sometimes, because then you know it's like when you roll someone who's actually equal
or less
skill
skill.
level or less
Mhm.
skill, right? It comes so much easier. Like I'm like,
Yes.
this guy. It's like white belts, like, oh, we just got to
Yep.
worry about like not getting injured by other white belts. But other than that, it's like, yeah, I've already gotten my shit torn by other white belts. I don't really roll with too many white belts, even though I'm a white belt. I don't roll with too many white belts
Well,
anymore.
because everyone still learning control, you know what I mean? Like, I mean,
Yeah.
I remember when we all first started, remember we were all trainers. It was like you, me, Craig, Handra, freaking Ben, like literally all of us are just,
Oh,
oh, you know,
yeah,
and we would just yank on, remember? And I
yeah,
remember friend Genia's like, what do you, like y'all like chill. Like, and we're like, but we have it, you know, and
yeah.
it's finding that balance, you
Yeah,
know.
and that's why it was so fun to like, again, like our coaches were like these small, except for Ben. Ben was huge, but
Ben's huge.
yeah,
Yeah.
our other coaches were like super like skinny dudes, and
Yep.
it was just we're just getting the floor mop like every single time with them. I was just like, oh my god,
Do you
like I'm
remember Adrian and Stephanie?
yeah,
Dude,
yeah.
Stephanie, it's so funny. Just yesterday, I was rolling with one of my white belt students, and it brought me back to one of my second ever classes in jiu-jitsu. And I remember rolling with Stephanie. She was a purple belt. You know, it was my
Yeah.
like second day, and I was in her guard, and I'm like trying to choke her. You know, I'm driving in. You know, I'm spazzing out, and she's just laughing. She's just
No,
she's just chuckling, and she's like, you know, you're just going against the force, just go around it. And she's just so chill. And I was like, how is she so chill right now?
yeah,
And so yesterday, it is literally like a mirror situation where
yeah, yeah,
I was like her and my students, you know, getting on. I'm just sitting there, and she's like, this is so annoying. You keep, and I'm just like, hey, it's just because you're just not
yeah.
chill, you know.
You just move the other way, you'll pass.
You
You
just
know
gotta
what
like
I mean?
go around.
Yeah.
And it's stuff you learn with time. And I was like
Yeah.
telling her, I used to be just like, I feel old, I'm like, I'm so
Yeah.
old now. Like I was just like you, like 60 years ago, when I first started. And it's just funny because I remember being told that and I didn't get it until time
Yeah.
and hurting
Well,
myself
yeah.
too many times.
Yeah. And lately I've been really working on like my bottom game. So I've actually like I used to like just like I'm gonna smash and go to side control, right? Now I'm being comfortable just being on my back and half guard and just working from there and like learning how many sweeps you can like I'm loving like the hook sweeps right
Yes.
now. And so I'm like, I'll literally let someone smash me in a half guard just so I can hook sweep them because
Nice.
I'm like, oh, I love this position. I'm seeing these little like openings where I can just sweep them over. Like
Kind of
I'll
learning your
intentionally
game.
yeah, exactly. Like, well, it's changed over a lot. Like before, I used to
Mm-hmm.
be like super offensive. Like I had
Yep.
no defense at all. I'm just gonna smash pass and then just hold you there and just stay heavy, right? And then after a while, I'm like, I need to work on my defense because when someone who's more advanced than me can get out of my half guard or I'm out of my side control or out of my mount and they put me on my back, I'm like, I have no fucking idea what to do. So then I just really went hard on just working defense,
Yep.
being on my back, being comfortable with on my back. And then eventually I'm like, cool, I actually like being on my back because I know I can sweep people from certain positions and then work on my top game once I'm on top. It's like
Yep.
so it's like just learning that and working through different like positions and finding what you're comfortable with and
What works with your body type.
yeah, exactly. And then also like finding your holes in your game too. Like
Mm-hmm.
I'm not a big close guard person because I have really short legs. So I don't do
Oh,
close guard. Like I still feel uncomfortable, but I found
I know
like
what you
hey,
mean.
half guard is amazing. Like I feel so like mobile. I can get out of positions. Like so again, it's just like again, like you said, like finding what works with your body. Like short, stubby
Absolutely.
guys, it's really hard to get a triangle.
And I'll tell you, like I also have thick legs, right? So
Yeah,
I always had an issue with triangles, but I actually watched this Danaher DVD on triangles, and I'll
yeah,
tell you, like I'll tell you what I learned, and oh man, it made a huge difference. Like I can
yeah,
actually, even with my thick legs, I can actually like close them now. But yeah, I mean, it takes time. I remember I was like mostly offensive, then I was only defensive for a while, then it was like go finding the back and forth.
mhm.
Now it's baiting. You know what I
Like
mean? And then
dating, yeah,
yeah, baiting. It's feeling what's about to happen and being ready for it now. So it's
yeah,
like with the evolution of your game, right? With
yeah,
time. It's I think it's a beautiful thing and I love that everyone's style is unique.
yeah, definitely.
You
Again,
know what I mean?
you'll and it'll probably change. Like
Mm-hmm.
you'll find something new that just works all the time, and then you'll stick with that. And then it might not work after a while. Then you might try something else, and then you might learn something new in a class, and then it's like, oh man, like this really sticks. Like so, it's just really, I think it's just about again finding, what your game is going to be, and again, it might change. Like you never
Yep.
know.
Well, it's like if you get
Um,
an injury, for example, and now you can't invert anymore because you had a neck
yeah,
injury, or
yeah,
that happened to me, and now I'm like, okay, I can't do that anymore. So now,
yeah.
now what? Okay, I'm gonna do this instead. And yeah, it's like you kind of figure it out. So,
That's true.
yep. Well, you're gonna have to come up again soon.
Oh, for
And
sure.
train you and Jason. You're gonna have to come up, you guys, and then
Oh, dude,
we'll roll.
I'm totally down, man. I'm totally down for another role, but
Yeah.
I'm excited to see where your jiu-jitsu place goes. I know you're building another facility in your
Yes.
backyard. I see that on
Yes.
Instagram that you're posting, so it's
Yes.
really dope to see that. I'm just like, that's so freaking awesome. Like,
It's going. I mean, I actually just this morning met with the contractor and signed the contract for the framework. I was like, if I would have ordered that lumber 3 weeks ago, we would have saved like literally 10 grand. It's ridiculous. I can't believe I am so mad right now at the inflation.
yeah.
It's making it hard, but you know what?
But
It's
you
going
have
to
to
be.
think about where you first started, right? Like
Oh,
when you
I'm so
first moved to
excited. I'm
Big
so
Bear, like
excited. Like,
you had none of that, right? You
no,
had
no, it's
none of that.
literally like I remember the garage was unfinished. It was like a welder's garage, and it was all completely unfinished, looked like just terrible. And I, got it drywalled, insulated, put everything in there.
Yeah.
Now we're adding a 30 by 35 onto that. So it's going to be like connected, and we're going to have a 30 by 30 Dolomer Flex Connect mat space with like wall mats, a bathroom, a lobby. And then we're even going to have like a fenced in kids area for like the parents to let their kids play, especially like for the summer camps that we're doing, you know, like I needed an area for people to hang out and eat, you know, so it's basically going to be it's a private, you know, private facility by invite only kind of deal. But we're so excited, like especially about that camp coming up, like in July. We're so stoked about it. And you know, definitely gonna have to, you know, come down to San Diego too and check out your gym, you know, because
definitely I've always loved to have you over. I mean, I've been over your spot already, and that was fun. So
yep
missing out.
So definitely, man, just keep training, you know, like just keep it up, and like you know, you're doing good, you know, just keep getting them stripes, keep getting them belts. And keep up with the business, because like that's like it's funny, because I considered, like, back when I was working with you, I kind of considered like I was kind of sort of mentoring you in a way too. And so I'm like super happy to see, you know, you doing your own thing and kind of like, you know, being self-employed and growing. And I'm really excited, and I'm really hoping that, you know, you get a lot more clients and it goes super well for you, you know. And thank you so much for taking the time to chat with me.
Oh, it's been awesome.
Really appreciate it.
It's really just catching up with you, honestly. Like I don't like to do like formal podcasts. It's just like just a conversation. Like,
well, that's kind of what my podcast is all about. Like, it's pretty laid back, you know, it's just hanging out, talking.
It's just two homies talking on FaceTime, basically.
And everyone watching. So. Well, I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. And is there anything real quick I wanted to ask you that you would recommend to anybody who is nervous about starting their own business as a trainer, right? What would your advice to someone like that be right now?
I think a couple biggest things that you really should focus on is being okay with failing. Like failure is like the biggest like teacher, because it's going to teach you what not to do again. And honestly, don't be afraid to be creative in trying different ways to like start your business, get clients, attract people. Like you just gotta, I always tell all my like mentees, you just gotta try some shit and see what works, see what doesn't, stick with the things that work. And ask the people who've done it for a long time. Like, don't be afraid, because everyone's always willing to help. Like, because they've been in your shoes many times and they know how hard it is. They know the struggle. So yeah, don't be afraid to try shit. Like, talk to a bunch of people, get help, find help. Even if you need to pay someone to mentor you or, you know, help you with business, like do it, because that's the best way you're going to learn. Like, just don't get in your own head. It's like, get out there and do it. You got to just take action. Like, it's the biggest thing.
Totally.
Honestly. So.
And then how about for someone that's nervous to start jujitsu or personal training with a coach? What would your advice to someone be?
I would say first find the right person who vibes with you, like making sure it's like the same and they understand where you're coming from. And the biggest thing is just, again, try to, like I said, just do it. Like, see where it goes. Like, it's the same thing. Like, you just gotta do it. And if it vibes with you and you feel like, okay, like I can keep going in this, like this is fun, keep going. Like, just keep going. And then, you know, if it didn't work, hey, maybe this gym wasn't the best. Maybe I can try another one and kind of see, because you still kind of like jujitsu or lifting or something like that. It's just more about you got to find your tribe. You got to find, you know, your group of people that you really vibe with and that you feel comfortable with. I think that's the biggest thing.
I think that's fantastic advice, and I wholeheartedly agree with that. All right. Well, everybody, I hope you have a wonderful Sunday. Thank you again, James, for joining us. Check him out. Follow him. Shout out your Instagram handle.
It's really long. James_Krause. That's KRAUSE_coaching. And then Ageless Strength as well is my other one. It's my business one too. So
sweet. And I'll post them when I upload the video too.
So. I even forget my own Instagram handle sometimes. So.
I know my email's way too long. I'm like, I need to change that. So I feel you. All right, everybody. Have a good one. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.